All right, so some surprising news, at least in my opinion. I was not expecting to be reading this today, but Danny O'Neal, starting quarterback for San Diego State, he is entering the transfer portal. It was announced earlier today, and he told the Aztecs, he told Shawn Lewis and the coaching staff, it seems like he told them on Thursday when he walked into the facility, into the Fowler Athletic Center, and informed the staff he's entering the transfer portal. And San Diego State, they've gotten some commitments back, which is good to see. I believe Jordan Napier is one of them that announced that he was going to be returning to San Diego State. But to have your starting quarterback, who this isn't just any other starting quarterback, this was Shawn Lewis's first starting quarterback who he was building around. I mean, it was the first true freshman starting quarterback in San Diego State football history. Like, this doesn't happen. And the Aztecs were like, nope, they heavily recruited Danny O'Neal. Danny O'Neal had the relationship with Shawn Lewis. He was going to go to Colorado, and then he went to San Diego State in large part because of Shawn Lewis. And so for him to transfer like this, yeah, it's surprising. It's not about the money, though, if you believe in what Danny O'Neal is saying. And, I mean, these guys, they are human beings, right? So Danny O'Neal here, and I'm reading in Kurt Kenny's article in the UT. Check it out. I'll link it in the description if you have not checked it out. Just giving information on what went behind Danny O'Neal's decision. And during a phone conversation Thursday afternoon with the UT, O'Neal said his decision had nothing to do with the San Diego State program or pursuing NIL riches. It has nothing to do with the coaches. I'm not trying to go get paid. It's not about competition. I went in there last year and fought a transfer, sophomore AJ Duffy from Florida State, for a spot. With the way the room was going to look this year, I was probably going to have to do the same thing. I was willing to do that, but I just wanted to play close to family. And he says here he wouldn't say that he was homesick. He just wants to be able to have some relatives be able to come see him play his games. And it was getting pricey having his parents be able to travel every week to come watch him play. And that's understandable for sure. I think I'd be more not believing what he's saying if he had a great freshman year. And then there was going to be a bunch of schools like, hey, you're our starting quarterback. We're going to give you a ton of NIL and all that. But he didn't have the best first season. And I get it. True freshman. It's not like he has years under his belt. But there was still work to be done with Danny O'Neal. So I wonder, what is his market going to be? He wants to be close, like driving distance within Indianapolis, where he grew up, I believe. So whether that's Indiana, Purdue that would want him, and maybe he doesn't start, maybe he's a backup, for a year, a couple of years. But if that's what he wants to do and he wants to be closer to family, I get it. I do get it. So I saw some people on social media, wanting to bash Danny O'Neal. And I do understand it a little bit from an Aztecs fan perspective. Like, we were super hyped when Danny O'Neal committed to the Aztecs, and it was like, all right, this is our quarterback, true freshman, might be some struggles in year one, but let's ride this out, Lewis and O'Neal. But now some Aztecs fans look at it and they're like, well, there was so much invested in you and bringing you here, and now you're doing this at the end of the season. You didn't know that you were a little bit homesick, and you could have maybe made the decision a little bit earlier, and maybe that could have helped San Diego State out in going aggressively at quarterbacks to go be a starting quarterback next year at San Diego State. And now, maybe some guys are off the board. I understand that from some fans' perspectives. But again, this is, I know he's an adult, but he's not 30, So this is a college kid, I feel weird saying he's a kid since I'm 21, but a college guy just got out of his freshman year. And if he wants to be closer to family, I do understand that. What sucks here is, like, the Aztecs did commit to him. And now it's just a question of, like, what is Shawn Lewis going to be able to do? It's one thing for Shawn Lewis, for him to come in, recruit Danny O'Neil when like he's coming into his first year at San Diego State. But now when players have been able to see what San Diego State is under Shawn Lewis, and I know it's 1 year, it's not 4, but still, you saw what San Diego State is and the environment at Snapdragon Stadium. It's not Petco Park. There's not very many fans that are attending those games. There are thousands of fans that get tickets and they don't end up going to the games. It's not that great of an environment watching on TV. It just doesn't look great. So you got Boise State in that conference for right now. In the Mountain West, you've got some other schools as well that are ahead of San Diego State. San Diego State had a bad year. 3 wins? Come on, that's bad. How appealing is that going to be to a quarterback? Now, it could be appealing to a San Diego quarterback, and they can recruit locally that way if Shawn Lewis wants to go that way, and maybe that's how they can do it. But A.J. Duffy, there was some hype there when he transferred because he was transferring from Florida State. He ends up getting suspended during this season. Then Danny O'Neil transfers. And so now San Diego State could be looking for 3 quarterbacks. I'm reading in this article, O'Neil wanted 5 quarterbacks in the program, planning to pursue 2 transfer quarterbacks through the portal. That was before Danny O'Neil made this decision to transfer out. So there's San Diego State backup quarterback Devontae Tupuada Johnson. Sorry, I totally botched that name. He's in the transfer portal. A.J. Duffy, he's in the transfer portal. He was 3rd on the depth chart too. So now San Diego State has junior Kyle Crum. He was 4th on the depth chart this season. And they have a high school signee, J.P. Mielowski, who is graduating early from a high school, I believe, in Long Beach to enroll in the spring at San Diego State. So that's another freshman there. Do you want a freshman starting at quarterback again? But can San Diego State, they don't have these NIL resources like Colorado and obviously all the SEC schools and the ACC with North Carolina and Bill Belichick and how that's probably going to skyrocket now. They don't have that. So when you were able to land a true freshman quarterback in Danny O'Neil that got offers from some pretty good programs, it was like, okay, well, let's find a way to keep this guy. And instead, now he transfers out. But I guess the good thing is this is if recruits want to believe this, it's not about San Diego State. He just wanted to be closer to home. But again, if you're a quarterback that you're not from San Diego, you didn't root for San Diego State growing up, your whole life, there's no connection there. You're not going to be blown away with NIL money, I wouldn't imagine. I mean, the football stadium, these games are like a third full in attendance, maybe half full sometimes. It's not a great environment. Now, San Diego State can make it that, but there's a lot of work to be done. I just wonder who is going to want to go play at San Diego State coming off of this first season in the Shawn Lewis era. There wasn't a ton of great things, in my opinion. If I was a recruit and I'm not locked in every game for San Diego State, I just look, at the record, and you have quarterbacks transferring out, multiple quarterbacks transferring out. One of them gets suspended during the year, and you have Shawn Lewis up there at the press conference saying pretty much the same things over and over again. I know some of this is coach speak; he has to say it, but I got tired of it, to be quite honest. Him repeating, "I've got to do a better job of leading, and we got to do a better job of this," and it's like, okay, then do it. It's year 1. I get it. But I was hoping that it would be better than a 3-win season to start off this Shawn Lewis era, and there'd be more excitement around the football program, and that's not the case. And so now it's just a big question mark of, okay, what's going to happen? One thing that I forgot to mention before ending this video here, Danny O'Neil, so he wanted to be closer to home, and did he not factor in how pricey it was going to be for his parents to go to every game? He didn't factor that in before committing to San Diego State. He was committed to Colorado before, so that would have been pricey as well. It's not like that's, super close to where he grew up in Indianapolis area, wherever exactly where it was. Um, so maybe that was just a lack of thinking on his part, of preparation on his part, his family's part. You should have thought of that before. I mean, so if you want to be a little skeptical of his explanation, you could bring that up and be like, well, if you wanted this all along, closer to family, and it was going to be pricey, shouldn't you have known that before committing to San Diego State? Maybe you should have. But I'm not going to be in this full bash mode on Danny O'Neil. It was a true freshman quarterback. He had injuries during the year. He played through injury, so I can respect that, obviously. He competed, won that starting quarterback job to start the year. But it just sucks that he's not sticking around to continue to make that progress at San Diego State. And maybe things would have been better with more time with Shawn Lewis and the coaching staff. And you can, have more time with your teammates and get more comfortable in college at that same school. And now he's going to do it all over again, going into a new program and transferring. So that's a big question mark now. San Diego State, what are they going to do in that transfer portal? Who are they going to bring in to compete for the starting quarterback position, or just be the starting quarterback? Maybe there's going to be someone where it's obvious, like, yep, he's the starting quarterback. But there's a lot of schools out there, and to me, it's just I assume it will be a backup from maybe one of like an ACC school or a Big 12 school that comes to San Diego State, and they're looking for playing time. Obviously, like, they want that opportunity, but you're not going to get guys for the money, and that can be one of the challenges for San Diego State. It just feels, I don't want to say a missed opportunity, because again, this is Danny O'Neil transferring. It's not like, at least if you want to believe Danny, it's not about the program. It's about him wanting to be closer to home. So not really a missed opportunity. It sucks that, not that the Aztecs recruited him, but that this is just the situation that they're in, that they had so much effort putting that into Danny O'Neil and surrounding him, coming into San Diego State, and Shawn Lewis, and Danny O'Neil was his guy. Danny O'Neil committed to Colorado, like I said earlier, in part because of Shawn Lewis, right? And that relationship. For him to just then leave after 1 year, and now who knows what's going to happen. It's a little frustrating. It's disappointing. 3-9 season in year one, and now you're going to have a new quarterback for year two. And I don't know how much excitement there's going to be going into year two, regardless of what Shawn Lewis wants to say and people at San Diego State want to say. They've got to earn those butts in the seat. People aren't going to, and maybe there's, Aztecs alum and Aztecs fans that will donate to, Aztec Link and everything that they've got going on there. But trust me, excuse me. I feel like San Diego State, you're going to get more people to donate if you can start showing positive signs on the field and get people believing in the program. I don't think there's a ton of belief in this program right now, from the outside, from the fan perspective. Lowering the ticket prices too, to make it like easy for Aztecs fans to go to games, instead of charging $40 for the upper deck on a 3-win team against Air Force on the last week of the season. I think that would help too. $70 upper deck tickets, I think mid-season, something like that I saw. Make it more accessible, especially when it's not a great product. Make these tickets cheap. I know you want to get back all this money, but you're not going to do it the way that you're continuing to sell tickets for the football program. It's not the basketball program. It would be one thing if they were winning, but they're not. So you got to adapt. You got to change.